This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, it's the October 10 meeting of the Killingworth Conservation Commission. We're starting the meeting at 7:04 p.m. Attendance, everybody is here except for Alec, and I have his permission to tell you guys why. Alec is now he has dealt over the past 3 weeks with COVID.
Ooh.
He got it, he took the medication, and then it came back again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so he said, yes, I could tell you guys. He feels that people should be aware of COVID and how relevant and it's becoming prevalent again. And I will say, on a personal level, I have heard from about 15 different people over the past 2 months, all in our area, all in the Shoreline area, who have come down with COVID. Some of them twice in less than 2 months. This is like.
I know someone in Killingworth who died because of COVID, although he was weak and predisposed. It didn't take too much to push him over the edge, but COVID made the difference.
Jesus. Yeah.
This was happened only within the last few weeks.
Oh, dear.
That's so sad. So anyway, Alec does say he's hoping he'll be able to come to the next meeting, virtual, but he's okay, but he's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. We have no visitors. So the next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for September 12. I'm going to jump right in on that because there's a part that was missing, and I think it was because it came at the end of old business and we were just starting new business. And Katie, you correctly indicated a mention of your Vine program. So that's not in the minutes for September 12th. So I would just like to get it re-put into our minutes that Katie did a terrific program on vines and invasive vines. She had a good group of people attending, and everybody came with things to cut the vines down. So I just wanted to be sure that gets formally into our minutes, and that can come under this week's old business or a correction for the minutes for September 12, whichever works.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, Katie, I just didn't want you to think it was being ignored, not at all. So that's my correction for the minutes. Are there any other corrections or comments? Any other corrections or comments?
No.
All right. Could we have a motion to approve the minutes of September 12?
I move that we
So moved.
that we approve of the minutes of October 12th.
Okay.
And second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes, just say aye or raise your. I can't see everybody.
Aye.
So
Aye.
any opposed? Okay, minutes are unanimously approved. Thank you.
I'm abstaining, Stephanie, because I wasn't at the meeting.
Right, correct. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah. Okay, so let's come back to tonight's agenda. General correspondence update. The only piece of correspondence that was in the mailbox was actually a reminder from Dawn, the Killingworth town clerk, that we have to get our meeting schedules to her. And I think we have a couple of weeks, but we typically do our meetings on the second Thursday of each month, except for the month of August. So in terms of that, is that still okay with everybody?
I would say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And that also fits in, the town has so many different committees that um, we've had the second Tuesday for a long time, and it seems to work with everything else that's going on. Okay. Um, in terms of organizational information, the first item is Kakiwik. So let me pull up something I've had it on the back of my screen. All right. I had mentioned the Kakiwik, the annual meeting of the Connecticut Association of Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commissions, Kakiwik, is having celebrating their 50th anniversary on Saturday, November 16th. Rosalind, you weren't at our meeting at that point, but what I asked is if people were interested in it. I think it would be a great thing to go to. We don't have enough money in our budget to cover it. I did get a sense of who might or might not be able to go. And I did speak to Gina, who's the town treasurer, to get some additional funds. So I really need to get a sense of who really can sign up for this. But for the moment, let me just read to you a quick. You can look at this at your leisure, but the Kakiwik meeting is the 50th anniversary. The topics are fairly typical for what they do. Aquatic plants, all things vegetative, roundup map of Connecticut climate resilience, sharing the landscape with amphibians, wetlands law and regulations, climate change impact, invasive plant updates, river systems, riparian corridors and stormwater management, light pollution, and identifying potential vernal pools. So those are the various topics that'll be presented in 3 different sessions. So each session has 5 topics that you could choose from. So, and if people register, if you want to do this, if you go on the Kakiwik website and just download the registration form, if you do it by October 19, which is the end of next week, you can get a $15 deduction off the $85 cost. Our budget, we have $125 for people to go to meetings. So in terms of from last meeting, Alec will not go. Jim, you weren't sure, but I can tell you in terms of, being sure that everybody in our group gets a chance to go to these meetings, the 2 people who have not been to meetings in the last several years, 3, well, including myself, but don't worry about me. Jim, you last meeting said maybe. Have you made any decisions about that?
Well, I would go, but if someone who has never gone, to give that person the chance, I would prefer to do that.
Well, okay, well, we can cover with our budget. If everybody agrees, I can take $15 out of the education fund and apply it to the meetings, and we can cover 2 people. And Katie, you are the newest one, so you would be the next person who would be eligible for this, but you weren't sure last meeting. So have you
Yeah,
given it
I'm unfortunately not going to be able to attend that
Okay,
meeting.
that's a no. Okay. I know Marilyn. Marilyn, what about you?
Pardon?
What about you? Would you be interested in going to the
N-
meeting? It's in Bristol.
No, I can't. Thank you.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. So that leaves Guy, you went last year and Ross, you went 2 years ago. But
What? I'm losing her.
Since nobody, and I'm also interested in going, Guy and Rosalind, we can cover you. Are you two interested? Would that be for sure?
Yeah, I could go as long as there's money and everything is okay.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Rosalind?
I can't make it. I'm sorry.
You can't? All
No.
right. All right. Well, okay. I was going to back off just to cover the two. So then, okay, the two people we have going would be Guy and myself. So we're covered. Hooray.
Okay,
Okay. As long as we get the forms filled out and sent in, you pay for it up front and then you get reimbursed.
that's right.
Okay. All right. And we'll be sure to bring back a lot of good information for all of you. So, okay. Let's see, the other thing coming to the schedule here, the Connecticut Forest and Parks Association, they're having a fall, again, if you wanted to do these, you would get on their website. One is a fall hike, but I didn't explore where it was. The other is that's on November 6th. On November 7th, they're having a holiday paper twisting creation program using paper that normally would get discarded, like old newspapers, magazines, and journals. And I looked at it further, thinking it sounded like a program for kids. It's for grown-ups.
Oh my goodness.
And I think it could be for older kids too, because it starts at 3:30 and it's a Tuesday. It's a November 7 is a November 7 is a Thursday, so it looks like they have it scheduled for after school hours from 3:30 to 5. So, and I know some of you have kids that you might find it interesting, so you might want to check it out. But it seemed to be more for adults.
Well, what is it?
It's learning how to make interesting things, objects from paper that would normally get thrown out, like newspapers, journals, and so forth. And to get a better description of it, you would want to go on the Forest and Parks Association website and double check it. I didn't see any cost for it, and it'll be held at the Rockfall building in Rockfall.
Maybe it's bring your own newspaper.
They suggest some of that, yes. So I'm just bringing it up as something that y'all, if you're interested. I thought it sounded like fun, but I have to work, so I can't do that. Okay, any questions or comments on Kakilik or Forest and Parks? Questions? All right. Guy, how about Rockfall?
There's a few things. On Thursday, October 17th, from 5:30 to 9 p.m. at the Saybrook Point Resort and Marina, there'll be a presentation on adapting to a changing shoreline.
Oh.
It talks about climate impacts on Connecticut's coastal region. And it's free. And that sounds
What time is
interesting.
that scheduled for?
5:30 to 9 p.m. on October 17th. It's a Thursday.
Okay.
And then there's one more on Saturday, October 26th. It's going to be a repair cafe from 1 to 4 p.m. And that's going to be at the Estuary Council of Seniors at 220 Main Street in Old Saybrook. So they're both close by.
Is it repair something or other?
Yes, repair cafe. You could bring items there and they'll try to repair them for you, free of charge. Yeah. Which is very nice.
Things like bookbinding or?
I would think so.
Okay, and that's on?
That's going to be from 1 to, let's see, here we go. It's going to be from 1 to 4 p.m. in Old Saybrook at the Estuary Council of Seniors, 220 Main Street, 220 Main Street, Old Saybrook.
Yeah.
And they could do that for you, Jim. I won't be surprised.
Hmm.
And that's about it for Rockfall.
Okay, any questions or discussion for Guy? Okay. All right, moving along. Katie, legislative and conservation news, any?
Yes,
Okay.
we have endorsements from the Connecticut League of Conservation Voters for both Christine Cohen in our district for state senator and Cinzia Lettieri as our representative in
Yeah.
the Connecticut state legislature. So they're the two endorsed candidates for our region. That's basically it from them. Cinzia has also been endorsed by the Sierra Club.
Has she? When did that happen?
Recently, but I don't know. I just heard that from at the town picnic. So
Interesting. Okay, because the Sierra Club is cautious about doing that. So
yeah,
that's very interesting that they're supporting her.
that is all I have. I think we will be voting before our next meeting. So everyone go make a plan to vote.
You're right.
Sounds
You're
good.
right. Any questions or comments for Katie on that? Thank you, Katie. Okay, hold on. Okay. Next, Jim, did you bring
Yes.
anything on Parmalee and the Historical Society?
At Parmalee, there'll be a pumpkin carving instructions. I don't know if it's BYOP or not, but 12 to 3 p.m. and at the Parmalee Farm site. I don't know exactly. They didn't say exactly what building. It was on the Killingworth, all things Killingworth.
Right.
Now, let's see, well, I have 3 other things, but they aren't either Parmalee, they're not at Parmalee, or they're not by the Land Trust, unless the Land Trust is doing the cranberry harvest. Maybe it is.
Yeah. I'll address that. Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Well, that's October 12th. Okay. And, we want to toot our own horn. We have October 22nd, invasive plants at the library. But that's not part of the minutes. And also there's a spotted lantern
that'll come
fly.
down. That's something else.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Jim? Okay. The Regional Planning Commission, the last meeting we had was about 2 weeks ago, and it was focused almost entirely on affordable housing issues. There was a lot of discussion and concerns that the towns in our area define affordable housing that in many other areas would be considered a little expensive. And that's based on how they determine the average rent for those places or cost. People are very interested in developing and enhancing affordable housing, but each town has to do it cautiously and carefully, is the way that it came through. So it was mostly discussion. And that was it for that. Any comments or thoughts? Okay, we'll move down to the education projects. Right now, things are quiet. I did, our winner of the kids contest was a lovely young lady, 10 years old. Name is Vienna. And I was going to let everybody know, but there was a lot of confusion about the date and the time that we could meet at the library with the mom, the daughter, and the children's librarian was away for a while. So we finally set a date like 3 days ahead of when we actually just handed her out the prizes. And she did a good job. She really did. She's just lovely. So right now, educational projects are quiet. Any thoughts? Anything? Anybody? Any thoughts, comments? Okay, moving on to Land Trust. Marilyn,
Yes.
what would you like?
I'd like to just mention the cranberry harvest, which is this Saturday, the 12th, from 9 to 12, and it's at the Cranberry Bog at Green Hill Road and Paper Mill Road. And they're asking no dogs, please. But it looks like it's a viable harvest because we didn't have one last year.
Right.
So that's one item. And the second item is our fall meeting. It's coming up November 7th, and we're going to have a talk, and that's at 7 o'clock at the firehouse. And that's going to be a talk on the spotted lanternfly, which is an invasive insect that is going to mess up some of our ecology here if it gets a hold. And let's see. I think that's it.
Marilyn, what time does that November 7 program start?
It starts at 7 o'clock at the firehouse.
Right. Okay, thank you.
And we also always ask that people don't go picking their cranberries before the harvest date, but afterwards is fine. If you can't make the harvest, then you can go after.
Any comments or questions for Marilyn?
Is that open to all town residents, or what's the restriction?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it is. We look for new members and some contributions. And no, it's open to everybody in Killingworth. Actually, some people from out of town do come too. You can bring a guest if you want. It's a wonderful family thing, event for, children love it. And it looks to be a nice day. Let's hope.
Hopefully. Okay. Any other comments or questions for Marilyn before we move on? Okay. Coming to old business. Rosalind, is any updates on the recycling?
So
Can hardly hear you.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's a little better. Thank you.
Okay. So for the month of September, we had 1,650 pounds of food scraps. And that brings our total since December of 23. For some reasons we started like halfway through November, so they only gave us for December. The total is 15,325 pounds of food scraps.
Wow.
And that's equivalent to 3,214 pounds of CO2 mitigated. And one of the interesting metrics that they give us is that it's equivalent to planting 25 seedlings. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And then the textile folks have been very remiss in getting us the data. I've had to hound them, and so I do not
Really?
have the latest information. I've sent them emails and called them, and they eventually do get back to me, but it's usually later. But we're still doing really well with collecting our textiles, and that's really nice because we're offsetting um, things that would have gone into our trash,
Right.
and also we're getting a rebate for that as well. So far in 2024, and this is not including July, August, and September, we don't have data. So far in 2024, we've had 5,990 pounds of textiles, and a rebate of $359.40. But again, I don't have the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So tell folks if they have textiles, it's on our website. And a lot of folks still don't know. Katie was there at the picnic and was so Katie, you can feel free to jump in, but talking to a lot of folks about textile recycling, as well as we talked about the food scrap recycling. So that was good. Got the word out there as well. And we're also encouraging folks. There's a town-wide tag sale for KWO on October 26th. And so we let the organizers know that if folks have textiles that they want to get rid of, and this includes things like stuffed animals, it includes things that are really worn clothing, and sheets, things like that, like underwear, that you wouldn't necessarily donate. It can all go into that textile recycling, and even things that you would donate can go into that bin too. And they will find, if it's able to be used clothing, they will find homes for that as well. So I would really encourage that, especially since this is like the great season of tag sales, that if you know of anyone having a tag sale and they need to get rid of textiles after the tag sale, let them know about our textile recycling bin.
Yeah. So it sounds like those programs are working well.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
Katie,
Right.
did you want to add anything from the picnic?
You brought 5 bins.
Mhm.
Stephanie took one, but we gave 3 others away to residents, and they were excited about using them. A lot of people are surprised, even if I ask, like, do you compost? They'll be like, oh yeah, so we don't ever do that. And I'm like, do you bring your meat and dairy? They're like, what? So I think the ability to bring, your turkey carcass and your ham bone, just like all this like big meaty stuff to the transfer station after your holiday party is a huge thing we should talk up more. So
Yeah.
people are excited about that too.
Yeah.
Nice.
And this is also the season of
Okay.
pumpkins. So if you
Yeah.
can't,
Can hardly hear you. Speak up.
if you cannot compost your pumpkins, I think it's because there's interference from the calls. That's really sort of preventing the audio from coming through. But pumpkins can be brought and put into the food scrap recycling as well. So any jack-o'-lanterns or gourds or anything like that, particularly if folks don't want to compost them on their own property, bring them to the transfer station and put them in the food scrap recycling. That's a great place
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah. Okay. Any comments or questions for Rosalind before we move on? Thank you, Ros. I think that they're going well, which is great.
Sure.
Okay. Next thing, old business. As Katie just indicated, Sustainable Connecticut had a table right next to the Killingworth Conservation Commission info table. And as people walked by, we kind of grabbed them to bring their attention to what was going on, what we were presenting and the information. And there weren't as many people there as I had kind of thought there might be, but we did get some handouts done. And Marilyn, I wanted to also came, and I stayed for a few hours, and then Marilyn came and she took over helping to manage that KCC table. And Katie did a great job going between Sustainable Connecticut and KCC. So kudos to both of you. It's terrific.
Thank you, Stephanie, for setting everything up.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And what I'm going to do is with the things, the information that was still, because I printed 20 copies of everything, I'll put them into packets, and there'll be packets from that information on the spotted lanternfly, jumping worms, invasive plants, and some other stuff. And the packets will go into the library and also the table by the town hall main entrance, because that way we keep people aware. So, and it was a great event. I got to give credit to the Killingworth Women's Organization for pulling that event together. It was terrific. It's really terrific. That's my opinion. I think it was great.
Yeah.
Anything else on that before we move on to public program proposals?
I would just like to give kudos to Katie for going in and helping with the recycling there at the at Deer Lake, and she was really instrumental in getting that done.
That's what we.
and,
Yep.
and
That's.
doing everything herself. And hopefully next year we can work with them to try and make it even more sustainable, and maybe get some food scrap recycling going during the
Yep.
event, because I mean it was over 1,000 people there, so you know, it could be significant amounts of trash and everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as I said, just a few minutes ago, Katie did a great job. So it's terrific. Okay,
Thank you.
let's move on to public program proposals. First one is on the order is trees, and Alec had brought this up as he was going to follow through. He brought that us back in, if some of you may remember, January, February, when we talked about the public programs. And despite his not feeling great, he has confirmed, and Gail Reynolds, who is an expert on trees and forestry, will be presenting the talk in a program on October 22, starting at 7 p.m. at the Killingworth Library. And in order to get that published, I put together some information that she had sent to Alec about her background and some information about the program, and sent it off to the source, to the HK newspaper, and to All Things Killingworth. It is now on the All Things Killingworth website, which is really good. And HK did a special, and they put it onto their HK website also, and they added a nice greenish background to it. So it's out there in plenty of time for people to be able to look at it and decide and make arrangements to come. The source probably will have it in next week's paper. They do the events by day, by the date. And I give Alec a lot of credit, because he really had to contact Gail Reynolds a number of times, and she has agreed, and I think it'll be a very good program. So that's it on the trees. Any comments on that before we move to the bears? Comments? Okay, the bears. At our last meeting, I know Katie had brought up the program that has good information about bears, and I have contact information for a woman who does bear rehab and has presented programs at things like Kakiwik and so forth. And she calls her company the Bear, BEAR, reality.org. She manages a wildlife outreach program, and she's very good. And Katie, can you give us, if I know it's kind of sudden, but could you give us a little review of the things that you had in mind about theirs and putting these into a series over several months?
Yeah. So I had gotten this email from Deep, and they have this municipality toolkit for the basics of living with black bears. And basically, there's a way to report bear incidents, and then mostly it's preventing bear incidents. So trying to keep or educate the public about, bird feeders and garbage and pets and all this kind of stuff. And they have a nice handout that's a checklist that's actually really well designed and really nice. It also is a little bit of training for like if you see bears when you're hiking or camping, or if you have livestock. So some more specialist, topics. Yeah, I don't know. I looked over all the materials on the website. It's really good reading. It's stuff that would be great to like send out in an email newsletter. I think it'd be great to have maybe in March when bears are starting to come out of hibernation, something from the selectman's office to send that townwide email, and we can make a nice fact sheet for them with a nice visual. And that's kind of it. I don't know if I don't see a place that we really need a whole talk about it or anything like that. But if there's a way that people could just be informed with these nice bullet points right at March, that would be good.
And I think combining, some written material, because the bears are more prevalent, they start really reappearing in March. And combining written material, if we can get a hold of some copies, and I can make copies, at the town hall, that's not an issue, and we can put those around. And the speaker that I'm recommending, it would be, I would try to get her for March. She's excellent. She is excellent. And it helps to reaffirm the need for people to pay attention to what's going on with our wildlife and the bears, which is very good. And her talks can be just for adults or for older children and adults. She's quite good. So the thing for us to consider is a topic that everybody would like to have move forward. And that would be the first thing to consider. And then the second thing would be the time frame.
Yeah, I think a speaker would be great. I think, March, right when the bears are coming out of hibernation, is a good time.
Yeah.
A good idea.
And if we start putting the paper information out ahead, it would also be really, really helpful from Deep.
Yes, the Deep information looks very good.
Yeah. So is this something that the group is, can we move forward with this?
I would say so.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Any other comments or thoughts?
I've had coyotes in the yard, or actually near the house, and I was wondering if at some point it might be worth considering the coyotes too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Okay, we will work that out. All right, and I sent everybody, when I sent you guys the minutes and the agenda, since we're talking about animals, I included the photograph I took of a deer.
Yeah.
I just I just thought I'd send it out to you guys. And the question came up from Jim wanting to know what the black spot was on her by her right flank. Well, the closest I could get, I didn't get to the deer outside. I took the pictures from a floor to ceiling window I have. And the only thing I could say, Jim, to answer your question about that is it was clearly a growth issue. Whether that deer has developed some sort of abscess or I don't know. It looked like a small tumor to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And not a spot on the window.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
no.
came with two fawns. I can send you guys some other pictures, but that
My
was the
goodness.
only reason I sent the picture because she was so beautiful.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Okay, so it looks like for our public programs, we've got October 22 for the trees and invasive plants species, and the bears coming up. We'll consider February and March. And Katie, if it's okay with you, I'll reach out to you a little bit on the deep papers and information.
Yep.
Okay, super. Super. All right. We are moving along. We are now on number 8 in our agenda, new business. Anybody got new business?
I have one. I don't know if people have seen the source, but Kathy Connolly wrote a big piece about the invasive, what is it called? The Connecticut Invasive Plants Working Group. They're having a 2024 symposium on the 29th of October at UConn, and it's all day. I probably will not be able to attend despite being very, very interested in it. But if anyone else is interested, that sounds like a cool symposium.
Yeah. Katie, which issue of the paper was that in?
Is the one we got today.
Oh, okay. I haven't even looked at that one yet. Okay.
Yeah.
But thank you for alerting us. That's good to know.
Yep.
yeah.
Check it out. Check it out. For sure. Thank you. Anything under new business? All right, moving right along. Our last item on the agenda is any general member announcements.
Yeah, well, for the stars and planets at night and other things, the Venus is a nice evening object, about 10 degrees above the horizon. And once the leaves leave the trees, you'll probably be able to see it through the trees. And it'll be slowly getting higher in the sky. And also there's a comet that may be naked eye visible, but it's usually much better to use binoculars. But you don't need to start looking till after the 20th because the bright moon will foul things up before that. And it's also lower in the sky. In the constellation of Ophiuchus. So it's best to have a good star map of where the comet is, and there are a number of computer sites. Oh, it's got a horrible name. I'll say it, but it's Tsuchinshan Atlas.
Can you spell it?
TSUCH, and that's enough. You'll probably find it. And there's a lot more letters to that name. But yeah, it should be favorably placed for binocular and telescopic viewing, and but you do need to have a star map to help you find it because it's not going to hit you in the eye.
What direction is Venus?
What?
What direction
is Venus? Southwest.
Okay.
Venus is southwest, and the comet will be looking west-southwest and in the last October 20th and later. So anyway, so those are nice things to keep in mind.
Yeah, sure are. Thank you, Jim.
Thank
Anything
you.
else? Any other comments?
Is there a Northern Light display coming
yes.
up? Or?
Tonight, yes. I think I'm going to go right after the meeting. I'm going to have to check the computer to see if the forecast has changed. But
Sorry,
I
have
I
to
think
go.
you can
I'll
kind of
see you
see it.
later.
It's like
Bye.
red-ish.
Yes, it is out there.
Yeah, you
is
can
out
see
there
it
now.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Really? Well, I better
I
get
In what
over there then.
Okay.
in what
All right, so
direction?
north.
I would say north.
North?
Is that what you saw?
Oh yeah, Northern Lights, right?
North.
Yep.
Oh, but who's actually seen it tonight?
Katie, it's red, or at least what I'm seeing
Yes.
is red.
And
All right.
how low to the horizon was it?
Pretty low.
hmm
I'm
Okay,
not
we
an
can
expert
we can
here.
all run to
Well,
our
I'm just
windows
wondering
from
where
here.
does one have a nice low horizon in Killingworth?
That's good.
Well, I'm on top of a hill. I'm on top of Beale Hill, so
Ah,
that
Which
might
hill?
help. Beale Hill,
How do you spell that name, please?
Buell.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Huh. And so you have a good view to the north then.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. I was
Alrighty.
thinking of going to the state park in Haddam Meadows,
Mhm.
because the gate is open and it has to be open because of the boating issues.
Oh.
And so I've been there looking before and haven't seen much of anything. But maybe tonight. Okay. Well, thank you for that
Okay.
piece of information.
Hmm.
Sounds good. All right. Anything
Okay.
else before we adjourn?
Well, one
Mhm.
thing I know Jim talked about going to the 50th anniversary if no one else could go. I went last year, so probably Jim should go in my place, I would think, if he'd like to.
Well, that's an idea.
Well, Guy, you
But
had
I'm
we've
happy to
already
have
gone.
you go there as well.
All right, we've
Well, I
already
already
been
went.
through that, Guy. You and I were the only ones who are going to go. Everybody else has said no.
Okay.
All righty. That's it. I will call the meeting is now adjourned. It is 7:50 something, 7. Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you,
rest of the
Stephanie.
week. Okay, take care and stay safe, and please
Stay well.
don't get COVID.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.